Hi, Tony. How are things looking on your end? Have you found a good car yet?
Hey, Christine. Nope. I've been checking around all the car dealerships, but I still can't find anything that looks right for us. You've been looking on the net, right? Find anything good?
Not really. They're all... How do I put it? Out of our price range. We have Lisa's allowance to think about. So, we can't really go splashing out on anything too wild, you know?
Yeah, you're right. Not only her allowance, but we have to cover her college expenses too. To think we have to buy a replacement for our old car on top of all that. It's kind of crazy when you think about it.
But you do want a new car, right?
It can't be helped. My current model's older than the dinosaurs, and it's real inefficient fuel-wise. I'll save more money in the long run if I buy a new one. Think about it. You've seen how much we spend on petrol every month. Can we really keep that up?
You do have a point. I suppose it was always bound to add up, with you using it to drive to work every day.
When I think about how Lisa just started college, and how we're going to be paying her allowance for the next 4 years, I figure it'd be best if we start saving money wherever we can, as soon as we can.
It might mean not being able to lead the same lifestyle we've been enjoying until now. But I don't think you're wrong. We have to think about the future. Her allowance alone is $1,500 a month. If we don't start tightening our belts real soon, we're gonna be in a world of trouble.
I mean, it makes sense it's that high when you consider how much rent she has to pay. But that doesn't take the sting away one bit when it comes to actually sending the money. Actually, you know what? I think I might just call it quits on the new car.
I know it's not gonna be easy shelling out all the cash you've given how things are for us. But like you said, it'll be cheaper in the long run if you get something more fuel efficient now. I understand that. That's why I never objected.
Yeah, you're right.
You just gotta grab the bull by the horns and do what needs to be done, Tony. Nothing good ever came out of complaining.
Yeah, you're right. Thanks, Christine. You've always done nothing but help me and Lisa, despite the fact that we've been nothing but a pain in your backside.
Jeez, Tony, where's all this coming from? We're family. Isn't that what family are for? That's just silly talk. Don't sweat it. We're a team, baby.
I'm really pleased to hear you say that. Look, it feels awkward for me to say this, but you and Lisa aren't blood relatives, are you? I can never help but wonder how you feel about spending money on all these things on her behalf. Despite her not being your real daughter, the allowance, the car, we've inconvenienced you to no end.
We can't exactly have you not having a car, can we? Besides, how many years do you think have passed since I took Lisa on as my own? She's like a daughter to me. It's always been that way ever since she was in middle school. Do you really think I care about whether we're blood relatives after all this time? Blood relatives or not, we're family.
It means a lot to hear you say that. Thanks, babe. I think it's thanks to how kind and accepting you are towards her, that she's so fond of you.
Seriously, Tony, what's gotten into you today? I'm gonna get embarrassed if you keep praising me like this. And, it's kinda creeping me out.
Oh, come on! There's no harm in me letting you know how much I appreciate you every now and then, is there?
Anyway, be careful on the way home, won't you? We're going out to buy the ingredients for supper together later, right?
Right. I'm gonna carry on giving it my best at work, and helping out around the house, too. Thanks for being here, Christine.
You're not so bad to have around yourself, you know. Don't mention it, sweetie.
So get this, Christine. I just got a phone call. You know that car I went to look at before? Looks like I can buy it!
Oh, really? Oh, that's great news, honey.
Isn't it? I feel like a weight's been lifted from my shoulders. I have to go finalize a few things, so I'll be heading over to the dealership on my next day off work. I can get there in about 15 minutes on the train.
All right. I'll leave all that business to you then. Nice work.
Sure thing, babe. I've got it covered. Oh yeah, I forgot to ask. Has Lisa been in touch with you lately?
With me? Not really. In fact, I haven't heard from her. Come to think of it, why? Did something happen?
Well, it's not necessarily that something happened. It's just, I haven't heard from her much lately. I couldn't help but wonder.
She's a college freshman, babe. You know how things are at that age. She probably has all sorts of things on her plate right now. Not just homework and study, which, don't get me wrong, I'm sure she has tons of. But she also has her social life to think about. We don't want her being a loner now, do we? She's basically starting from scratch with what's going to a different college to her friends.
I somehow have a feeling it's not that. Did you know she has a part-time job?
No, I didn't know that, actually. Lisa has a job?
Well, you see, I was concerned about how little I'd heard from her lately. So I phoned her this afternoon. But she hung up almost immediately, because she said she was about to start work.
Wow, really? I had no idea. What's the problem? Isn't it normal for girls that age to work part-time? She's a college student now. I'm pretty sure most of her friends have jobs. It's only natural.
I know it's normal to have a job at that age.
Well, if you know, what's the problem? What's got you so bothered?
This might sound weird coming from me, but we're sending her more than enough allowance to cover things like rent and food, are we not?
Things certainly aren't getting cheaper, especially with what's been happening with the economy lately. But we are sending her $1,500 a month. It's not like her college is in the city center either. It's hard to imagine having any trouble getting by on that. I'd say chances of her being better off than most of her friends are pretty high.
Right? That's my point. Why did she go out and find a job despite the fact we're taking care of everything for her? I can't make sense of it. If she's bad with money, I never had a clue. Could that be it?
She's never seemed irresponsible when she lived with us. In fact, quite the opposite. I always thought that she was super mature and sensible for her age. I think you're overthinking this, honey. Well, why don't you try taking your mind off of it for a while? Do you have some kind of problem with her working?
No. It's not that I don't want her to. If anything, I'm proud of how independent she's becoming. It just didn't make any sense to me, and it's been bugging me ever since I found out. You don't think she got involved with some shady guy or something, do you?
No way! Lisa's really got things together for a girl her age. I really don't think we have anything to worry about.
Look, I got the impression she didn't just have one job, but several. This is why I'm worried. If she's not struggling for money, what on earth would drive her to do that?
Please, just give it a rest, honey. Like I said, you're overthinking things. College students are a busy bunch. They have all sorts of outgoings and expenses. It's not as easy as people make it out. I mean, surely you know this. You were a student yourself back in the day. Then there's the fact of being a girl. It's just plain expensive. We have all sorts of outgoings that you guys don't ever have the chance to consider. There's just no end to how much money you can spend if you have a thing for makeup and dolling yourself up. Worrying won't get you anywhere. Students will be students, as girls will be girls.
It's easy enough to say that, but I can't help but worry. I wonder if I should ask, see if I can figure out what's going on with her and her money situation.
Stop it, Tony. You can't carry on treating her like a baby her whole life. She'll despise you for it, you know? How about giving her a little space and letting her live her life?
You might be right, but oh man, I don't know.
Look, Tony, you're her father, and I get it. You're worried. If you're that concerned, how about I talk to her myself? I'll see if I can figure out what's going on, and hopefully we can put your mind at rest. How does that sound?
Would you really? Are you sure you don't mind?
It's nothing, really. Besides, you're completely hopeless if the conversation turned out to be makeup and other girl stuff. You'd probably go and tell her to start buying cheaper brands, which would mean you'd inevitably end up fighting.
Understood. Alright, I'm leaving this one to you, Christine. Sorry for the trouble. I'd probably only get carried away and say something I regretted.
Yep, leave it to me. And make sure you don't say something you'd regret when you speak to her. It'd be such a shame to see you guys' relationship spoiled over this, especially when we don't even know what this is yet. It's probably nothing.
Yeah, I get it.
Anyway, hurry up and get home, you big softy. And don't be worrying the whole way back either. Don't drive yourself into an early grave or a ditch or both. I'll be waiting for you with supper. It's sausage pancakes with maple syrup.
Sausage pancakes? Oh man, I don't need to be told twice. I'll be back as soon as I can. You're a star, Christine. Hey Mom, sorry to message you so suddenly. You want our car?
Your car? Do I want it? What in heaven's name? Why must you always ask me such strange things out of the blue like this? It was just the same when you and Christine got remarried. I do wish you were a little easier to understand sometimes. I never raised you to be so vague and nonsensical.
Okay, you make a fair point. My bad. Listen, your car must be getting pretty old by now, right? Ours is hardly brand new either, but it's definitely a lot newer than yours. I was just wondering if you wanted to take it off our hands.
It's true, ours has seen better days, but even so, I can't take your car. What would you do without it? Surely you need a car.
It's fine, don't worry about it. We're in the process of buying a new one. We did consider selling our old one, but it doesn't seem like it'd go for that much. So I figured if it'd be an upgrade for you, I may as well just give you it.
You're buying a car? And since when did you have that kind of money?
We might not be filthy rich, but we do have some savings stashed away. A little something we were saving for a rainy day, you know? Don't get me wrong, it's not a huge amount, but it's enough for the car. The bottom line is, you don't need to worry about it, Mom.
You have savings? In that case, don't you think you have something else you should be doing before buying a new car?
Huh? Something I should be doing? What do you mean?
Goodness gracious me, whatever am I gonna do with you? The only reason I kept my mouth shut this whole time is because of Lisa. But I won't take it anymore.
Huh? Lisa? Surely she has nothing to do with this. Or rather, why are you getting angry with me all of a sudden? Is this really called for?
I mentioned her precisely because she has something to do with it. If you have the money to be splashing out on a new car, how about sending some of your poor daughter instead? Do you have any idea how hard she's finding things right now? Every month is a struggle to get by. Your daughter should be more important to you than a new car.
What? We've been sending her $1,500 a month. Sure, she might not be able to afford a private yacht, but I refuse to believe it's not more than enough to lead a comfortable college lifestyle. How exactly is she struggling to get by?
What are you even saying? Wait, are you serious?
Yes. I heard she was working a part-time job, but surely that's just because she wanted some extra spending money on the side.
Obviously not. I've been sending her some money myself ever since she phoned up explaining how difficult her situation is.
What? You? You've been sending her money too? But why? How much? And wait, her situation is difficult?
About $500 a month since she started college. Which means, by this point, I must have sent her about $3,000.
3,000? But this is the first time I've heard of any of this!
You're not the only one! This is the first time I've heard about you two sending her a monthly allowance! Besides, didn't you have to cut back on allowance payments because your salary took a major hit?
My salary took a hit? Excuse me? This is the first I've heard of it! Where did you hear that? Did Lisa tell you?
That's right. She didn't want to make things any more difficult for you and Christine than they already are, so out of consideration, she contacted me instead. I suggested I send her some money instead, while you two got back on your feet. How can you now know about what's going on in your daughter's life?
No, my salary didn't take a hit at all! It's exactly the same! And me and Christine, we've been sending her $1,500 at the beginning of every month ever since she started college. We have the bank records to prove it.
Are you saying she's lying to me?
No, she can't be. There has to be some kind of misunderstanding. It does seem like she's struggling for money. She told me she was juggling part-time jobs when we last spoke.
Tony, let me get something straight. Have you been sending her this allowance yourself? Or has Christine been involved in making the payments somehow?
Yeah. Christine sends the money. Why? Wait a sec, Mom. You saying Christine's up to no good?
Well, if Lisa's not lying, surely that's the only possible explanation for all of this weirdness? Not only that, but all this business, your salary taking a hit, came from Christine. She told Lisa on the phone. I don't know exactly like the idea of accusing your wife of lying, but looking at all the facts, what am I supposed to believe?
Wow. Seriously? No, Christine would never do something like that. She spoils that girl rotten. She loves her like her own flesh and blood.
Look, son, I understand how uncomfortable the idea of suspecting your wife of doing something so terrible must make you. But as long as Lisa says she isn't getting any allowance, someone has to be lying.
That's true, but...
Son, it's time to stop deceiving yourself. You need to take a look at the elephant in the room. This isn't going to be solved with wishy-washy indecision. What hope is there to getting to the bottom of this if you're not willing to face this head-on and take the decisive action?
I know that, Mom. It's not that I don't see the logic in what you're saying. For the time being, I'm going to have a heart-to-heart with Lisa and figure out what her money situation really looks like. I'll speak to Christine afterwards, and if I have to confront her, I'll confront her. I swear, I will get to the bottom of this.
Tony, have you seen my bank book? It's not in its usual place. You didn't take it by mistake, did you?
Yeah, I have it.
Phew. I thought I lost it. I was about to start seriously panicking. But, why do you have it? You know, if you ever need something from me, all you have to do is ask, right, babe?
I needed it for another reason.
Another reason? What kind of reason?
There was something I wanted to confirm first. Are you really sending Lisa her $1,500 allowance every month?
Where did this come from all of a sudden? Of course I am! Is this some kind of joke? Oh, what do you like, Tony? Don't play silly games like this.
Right, I see. I have one more question to ask you. It's about the recipient of this $1,500 you're supposedly sending Lisa every month. Why is it somebody else's account?
Oh dear, I see. If by chance, was there the other reason you mentioned for taking my bank book, so you could check where my money was going? Is that why you took my personal documents without my permission?
We're married and share a bank account, so they're hardly your personal documents, and I hardly need to ask permission to check the payment history on my own bank account. Now back to the point. I asked you a question. The recipient account is your own personal bank account, isn't it? What the hell do you think you're playing at?
Are you sure you're not making some kind of mistake?
I can assure you I'm not. Believe me, I wish I was. I lost count of how many times I rechecked everything hoping I was making a mistake. It wasn't just last month either. It was every single payment since she started college. Don't think you can worm your way out of this, Christine. The cat's out of the bag.
Oh, I see. Well, in that case, I guess there's no point in trying to hide it from you anymore. Whoopsie! If anyone would have told me you'd be clever enough to see through what I was doing, I'd have called them crazy. Come to think of it, was it even you? Or did Lisa say something to you?
Should I take that as an admission of guilt then? How could you? You spoiled that girl rotten. You doted on her like she was your own daughter. How could you do this to her? That money was supposed to support her through college.
It's true. I did dote on her like she was my own daughter. Ever since me and you remarried when she was in middle school, I did everything I could to be the mother she didn't have.
So why have you been stealing her money for over half a year? That was supposed to cover her rent and living expenses.
You want to know why, Chris? Because something dawned on me. Ultimately, she was someone else's kid, and she always will be.
Wow, what's that supposed to mean? Lisa loves you. You mean the world to her. Does she mean nothing to you? Does she serve no purpose beyond dollar signs on a screen?
Come on, Tony. Ever since she moved up to college, we've been doing nothing but spend money on that girl. First, it was the fees for the private tutor. Then it was the textbooks. Then it was stationery. Then it was the days out to help ease the stress of moving up to college. Then, to top it all off, we even put our own hard-earned money into helping with the damn tuition fees. Basically, I helped pay for everything. Do you have any idea how much we've spent on that girl?
You're supposed to be her mother. Isn't that what mothers do? Why all this now? Why now, after all this time?
And then, on top of everything I've done, all the sacrifices I've made were supposed to send her a monthly allowance too? It never ends! You're telling me you and me are supposed to tighten our belts and live well below our means just so your daughter can live like a princess of her college dorm? Are you even cognizant of how much our stand-in living has dropped since she started there? Why in heaven's name should I have to make all these sacrifices for a kid that's not even mine?
No one ever forced you to be with me, Christine, or to be a part of her life, or to do any of that. You could have left at any moment.
But my standard of living would have dropped then too. I deserve to be happy and lead the life I want. Why should little Miss Princess get all the money and attention? The only reason I took her on as my own in the first place was because you used to have money available for me whenever I wanted it. What's the harm, I thought. Do you understand where I'm coming from now?
It's a strange feeling to realize the woman you've been dating all these years is as shallow as a puddle. Besides, our standard of living dropped? Give me a break! You made it sound like we're in a concentration camp! At worst, we have to be slightly more careful with things like eating out at holidays than we were before. Whoopee! Big deal! It's not like we're wanting for anything, is it? Even taking the allowance into consideration, we have absolutely no problem getting by comfortably from day to day.
Not good enough. I wasn't put on this earth just to get by. This is exactly my point. You tragically confused man. A life where I don't get to go for fancy lunches at all the trendiest restaurants in town whenever I feel like it is not a life I want to live. Not only that, but since when did we have to actually carefully plan something? I like the look of, I should be able to go out and splurge, no questions asked. Oh, there's just no justice in the world. How did this happen to me?
If you're so desperate for money, why don't you just find some damn work yourself? There's plenty of stuff out there right now, you know. All you have to do is look. You don't even have to work full-time if you don't want to. Even just some cozy little part-time weekend job at a cafe or something would be more than enough to cover your lunching habits.
Ugh, disgusting. I won't! Is there a peanut where your brain should be? I married you because I wanted to become a stay-at-home housewife, dummy. Why should I have to go out and slave away to earn pocket change, while the lion's share goes to some spoiled kid that's not even mine?
I've heard enough! If that's your attitude, I have an idea of my own.
An idea? What kind of ideal? Great! Are you finally gonna stop sending her money?
Nope. Dead wrong. If you're so dissatisfied with our life together, let's get a divorce.
Oh my god, don't even joke about that! Wait, you're not joking. Did you even listen to what I had to say? All you have to do is stop sending money to Lisa. I get my spending money back, and we could be happy again. Just like before. There's no need to drag divorce into this. That's just extremely unreasonable.
I find it odd that I actually have to say this, but Lisa is my #1 priority. She's the most important person in the world to me. There's no way I can keep someone who treats my beloved daughter like some pesky nuisance in my life. And another thing, you can bet your ass I'll be sending you the bill for every last cent you stole from my daughter. And you'll pay up if it's the last thing you do.
Stop it, Tony! This is so uncalled for! Why should I have to do that? You're the one who suggested sending her an allowance in the first place! This is clearly all your fault!
If you were so unhappy about it, why didn't you just say so from the get-go, instead of brooding on it and resorting to underhanded tricks behind my back? Maybe if you'd have done that, we could have reached a compromise while things were salvageable, and never had it come to this. But you didn't, did you? And now we're past the point of no return.
It's easy to say that now, in hindsight. How was I supposed to know you'd be so upset?
You might not believe this, but there was a way this could have all been prevented. This might sound crazy to you, but that way was by speaking to me about it beforehand, like a decent human being.
There's just no getting through to you. Anyway, sending me the bill for the money I took is going to be far, and I won't go along with it. I won't! It's down to me. We could afford to send her any allowance in the first place. You should be thanking me, not charging me.
I was hoping I wouldn't have to point this out. But the money we sent her, and this includes the money for our living expenses, was all money I earned, technically speaking.
This is just not fair! The only reason you were able to go out and earn was because I was back at home keeping the house in order. And you know it. I thought we were a team.
Don't get me wrong. I understand that your cooperation played a big part in me being able to go out and work. It should have been the family's money, and you're right, we should have been a team. But you gave our family the middle finger when you stole that money and spent it all behind our backs. I can't spend my life with someone who thinks so little of her family. How could we be together now without me constantly worrying what your next move might be? I can't trust you. If that's how little consideration you have for your family, then we're not a family anymore. Not too long after the events of today's saga, Christine and I ended up divorcing. It didn't account for everything she'd taken, but I did get some of the money she stole and spent without my permission back before I sent her any kind of bill. No sooner had it gone into my bank account than I transferred it to Lisa's. Hopefully, it will finally start easing the pressures of college life for her, as it was originally intended to. I did consider taking Christine to court for the rest, but in spite of how things turned out, I hesitated when I considered how she'd taken on Lisa as her own all those years, despite her not being her real daughter. Even after everything she'd done, there was still a part of Lisa that loved Christine, and given that she had returned most of the money, I ultimately decided not to take legal action. I still believe that when it comes to family, blood isn't everything. Whether related by blood or not, if you love and treat someone as family, then they're family. Christine and I will never remarry, but I don't hate her, and it'd be nice if there came a day when we could meet up and laugh while reminiscing over the good times.